Hi, I'm Connor Fowler.
And I'm Matt Smith.
You're now listening to Apocalypse Duds. I don't know why it's a spooky one
Yeah. We're not
today,
even close to Halloween at this point, but you know, sometimes you gotta get spooky with it.
but
Uh,
it's we're approaching Halloween with our next guest, Jim Parker, who is not a werewolf but is an amazing guitarist. So
oh God.
we have a lot to. Isn't that there's like some guitar songs about howling at the moon?
Yeah. But "Bark at the Moon" by Ozzy comes to mind.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
exactly. We
just,
don't talk about Ozfest, which I know we have made a habit of talking about, but
yeah.
you'll be satisfied with the discussion.
You will surely be satisfied. It was a fun one. We've had Jim on before. He's a longtime homie of both the show and us, and just a overall great dude. Um,
Supportive,
Very supportive. Does cool shit.
good taste.
Plays guitar like a motherfucking riot. Shout out Sublime.
Right.
Uh,
Dude, that's
uh,
funny. I've had that stuck in my head like for the
yeah,
past 2 days.
it's an earworm.
Do, 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 do,
Yeah.
do.
No offense,
Yeah,
but that the guitar in that song is not a quote unquote motherfucking riot. But I'll forgive it.
it's a good solo.
It's a good solo.
It's a
It's
good
good.
solo.
Yeah.
And solos inherently are annoying. Like, I
To
definitely am in the Cobain school of thought with that. Even though he had solos, he was anti-solo. Like,
Right. Yeah. It all depends.
nothing is worse than a drum solo.
I'm a drummer.
You can't convince me. It's a 20-minute drum solo.
Oh
That's
yeah, a
fine.
20-minute drum solo. Fuck off.
That's too
But
long. That's too
yeah,
long.
yeah,
The guy from Primus did that. Whatever the
uh,
fuck his name is.
yeah. I mean,
Tim
if you
Arms.
if you like, if you're Neil Peart, go for it. You know, like I can maybe get down with like 5 minutes.
5 is fine. But
Yeah,
20
yeah.
minutes is not a good amount of time to be listening to percussion.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, I come from drumline, so I'm used
That's
to like,
different though.
I mean, it is, but it
That's like a
isn't.
lot of drummers.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
drummer, it's too indulgent. It's like
right. Yeah, yeah. I can understand where you're coming from with this one.
that's about as close as we get to an agreement. But
Yeah,
I'll take it.
yeah.
I'll take it.
I'll take it too. Yeah, I've been dog sitting in Atlanta for the past week, and it's been really nice. And
Who let the dogs out?
who let the dogs out?
It was
They're
Matt.
they're currently asleep on the couch next to me. Um, but yeah, it's been fun, and like the weather's been perfect. Georgia spring is very like temperamental, but thankfully it's been a week of sun and a nice breeze for the most part. Shot a lot of pool at Factors. Yeah, it's been a very social week, which is not my typical MO. But a good one. A good one. Yeah, today, this is coming out post May 1st, but today is May Day. We're recording the intro for this show. So, solidarity with the workers.
Soledad.
Always, always.
Yeah, and Mayday, yeah, we should have come up in our brainstorming session.
It should have,
Um,
yeah. But
but it is so important. It's so important, and it really is the only issue of our time.
yeah, labor is a part of every single fucking thing that our ruling classes foist upon us. So get organized, find your people. Yeah, and in leading up to this, we were talking about how just ridiculous the campus response has been to
With the fucking siege
fucking
ladder.
Palestinian encampments. Sorry, Palestinian. I don't know why I mispronounced that. Um, yeah, the one here last week at Emory, just the police were just as they love to do. Um,
But those are special kind of pigs. And
yeah,
I say
special.
this from my own experience at a state school with just mean cops.
Yeah,
They are looking to fuck up young people's days and lives.
yeah,
And so they do. And we allow them to do it.
yeah. Part of it here too is the Stop Cop City
Right.
movements, which of course the organizers and activists here always make a point in connecting the struggles because of the GILEE program, Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange, which trains with the Israeli occupation forces. So yeah, it's a lot of personal shit for me being in this city,
And it's all
and
connected.
it's all fucking connected. All of our struggles doesn't matter, you know, doesn't matter what it is. If you're a working class person and not part of the ruling class, then your struggle is more connected with the people around you than any fucking thing else. So get involved. Do what you can. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we have a great show with Jim Parker coming at you. Please rate, like, subscribe, review on your platform of choice. I did see that we got a YouTube comment. I don't know if we ever said that, but our
Yeah.
shows are streaming on YouTube now, even though we're audio only. So check it out if you want to. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. People have been watching on YouTube. I mean,
Nice, nice. I hate using YouTube because that's basically the only thing you can do while it's going. So
well, because you only use your phone.
I know, I know. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
it's
all
a
bullshit, though. It's all bullshit. And YouTube sucks ass because it's all advertisements.
yeah, true, true. Which, to be clear, we get nothing of.
Yeah. We don't
We
get
get
that shit.
yeah, we don't advertise yet. Anyone, and if we ever do, it will be people that we think are rad and that make something that we believe in.
The Bladder Daddy is coming.
The Bladder Daddy possibly is coming. Anyway, hope you enjoy the show. And here's our chat with Jim Parker.
Chin chin. Hello and welcome. On this most auspicious day, the day after the eclipse we were just discussing off the air. Um, Today we bring you a very special guest. His father was a gambler down in Georgia, and he wound up on the wrong end of a gun. He was born in the back seat of a Greyhound bus rolling down Highway 41. Our next guest, of course, was born a Ramblin Man. You heard him here about a year ago. Here's the modest maestro, the not so boisterous buyer, the Auburn ace of the Armory, the humble hero of the hammer on, Jim Parker. Welcome.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that, y'all. That was great.
I know you're a huge Alma Brothers fan, and we were trying to come up. Usually, the intros are mostly all Connor with maybe a really bad joke that he makes into a good one for me, and I was like, what if we just quote Ramblin' Man lyrics? And he was like,
Yeah,
down,
yeah,
down, yeah.
yeah. That's
How's
great.
it going?
All right, how are y'all doing?
Doing well. It's kind of gross today. After post eclipse like monsoon, but you know whatever.
Everyone is in their like post eclipse excitement.
Yeah,
Cool down phase, right?
All
It's
of my
like,
astrology friends are have been. My best friend Eleanor is an astrology girly, and she's been been talking about the changes that the eclipse would bring, and I'm like, cool, okay, let's try.
I mean, I welcome it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
welcome it. And in fact, I did go get a bunch of stuff today I did that in a normal Fowlerian universe would be shit show disaster. Like I went and got my blood drawn and it didn't even it was just fine. Like there was
Wow,
no
dude.
bullshit.
I gotta tell you, I'm impressed because I hate having my blood drawn. It's scary.
It's terrible. It's terrible. They miss you 4 times. That's
Yeah.
not acceptable. That's
No.
butchery.
That is.
Yeah, I think because I've had so many like I took allergy shots twice a week for a good majority of my childhood, and so and I have also like I feel like this probably made me not really care about getting tattooed. Like it hurts, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. So yeah, I'll just sit there and watch them, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you'll find it eventually.
It just is yucky. I mean, I'm used to it, of course. Like in the psych ward, they take your blood, as I think I've talked about on this program. They take your blood, they wake you up at 4:00 in the morning, and they take your blood every day.
Wow.
So you can't really get around it. Like you just have to deal with it. And so anyway, suffice it to say, maybe the eclipse did bring on the fun. Or whatever. It's maybe getting a little bit better.
Maybe.
Yeah, I gotta say, I just got back from vacation, and then yesterday with the eclipse, and like basically everybody just fucking off from work from like 2:00 on.
Right.
It's been really. It was like a week of no work, and then coming back, and everybody decided not to work for the afternoon yesterday.
Right.
And I'm like, do I have to?
You had a soft start.
Yeah. That's right. I was easing back in, and I opened my inbox this morning, and it was not fun. But it's done now. It's done now. So.
I saw a good tweet earlier that was yes, it's still Twitter. It's not fucking X. But it was like, the eclipse showed us that Mondays don't actually have to be work days. And I'm like, yeah, that's
right.
true.
That's true. Yeah. Also, I guess it could show you that you can just like kind of take time off, like kind of whenever you want. It's all made up. It's all made up.
Yeah.
So
it's a construct. It's a construct.
Yeah. I mean, I live here in Brooklyn. I live next to Fort Greene Park. And
shit.
It was like filled up with people. And I was wandering around like, where do these people work? And then I was like, wait, you're not at work. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it was strange. But interesting day yesterday for that. Yeah.
I was expecting to see like someone riding a motorcycle staring up at the sun, crashing into some kind of store. I don't know. I was just like, this is bound to be eventful, and it was just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I was having thoughts about like, you can really imagine like a couple thousand years ago, like nobody understanding what an eclipse is, and it happens, and you're like, oh, God is really mad.
Right?
Did they all go blind? I mean, how could you not just stare at it?
Connor and I were actually talking about this yesterday. Like I had no answer. Like if I was a medieval human being, I would be like, what the fuck is happening? Oh my God, I can't see anymore.
Right. We're all about to die, and now I'm blind.
Right. Yeah.
That's what my roommate said. He was like, no. I mean, Jebediah would just have lost his sight because of God's wrath. So we were talking about the eclipse. We were saying, Jim, you have to be covered up. You were a sunburner as well.
Yeah.
So what are you wearing today? What have you been wearing in terms of trends? Like, and I don't mean trends in terms of what is fashionable. I mean trends of what you are wearing.
Sure. Let's see. Right now, I'm wearing a bunch of Tazwell stuff because that's what I own.
Hell yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, or do you want to?
Sure. You like what I'm wearing specifically, or just in general?
Well, no. I mean Tazwell. Like,
yeah, sure.
That's big in your life, so
that's big in my life. It's been an interesting year to own a clothing brand that's focused on made in the U.S. stuff. I feel I've had like some really negative thoughts about it, and then some really positive ones. And I'm happy to share both. But I kind of thought we might talk about this. So I pulled up this text that I sent to my childhood best friend that I still talk to basically every day, and I listed out some stuff that's happened since I started Tazwell, which was in basically early 2021. So in the time that I've been working on it, factories closed. 4
Oh God,
factories
yeah.
closed.
Jesus.
Factories closed due to injury or death. 2 factories that were lying about making in the United States. 1
Whoa.
fabric. Yeah. Fabric or trim suppliers that closed. That's 3. So that's additional to the actual factories making things. Just fabric mills that I was working with closed. Factories or suppliers who stopped returning calls after verbally agreeing to do work. 2 factories or suppliers who delivered incorrect final production.
Yep.
And then yeah. I have something on here about factories being late, but whatever. That's a whole other thing. And then the final thing that's something a tangent of mine, which is factories that had an MOQ, which is buyer speak for minimum order quantity, over 100 pieces a SKU, which is a lot, by the way, at least 6.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, so it's a struggle at the moment. What I'm working on is, like I said, I wouldn't do any tailored clothing, and then I kind of am swallowing that and working on some tailored clothing, and that's made in my home state in Tennessee. Yeah, so working on that. Possibly looking at asking people for money. I don't mean like a Kickstarter. I mean like going to the bank and asking for money. I didn't really want to do that either, but that's the next step, I think. So it was a tough year to run that business, but also it was really encouraging to see people actually buy things from me. That was cool. So yeah. And then also just this month, this book, American Flannel. Have you guys read this? Do you know about it?
I have heard things about it. It, it, it I don't know the dude. I haven't read it. My first impression is that it is a book that probably shouldn't have been written, from the perspective that it seems to be written from. No offense to the
Sure.
writer. Um, yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of the story left out, and it's almost like he got paid by some people to feature them. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not accusing him of anything. It's just like, yo, man, yeah, this is like, as someone that has worked in the industry for a while, like, there's a lot of the story that ain't being told with this.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'll say Stephen. I don't know how to say his last name. Karutz. Stephen, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Steven, sorry, man. Not trying to talk shit.
Yeah, no. I'll give some criticism on the book, but I do want to pronounce your name correctly. So give me a call, Stephen. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of emphasis on, and I understand this because it was like the book is basically just like a compilation of articles that Stephen wrote that are mostly about that brand, American Giant. Which, by the way, I'm not going to crap on any brand that's making stuff in the U.S. because I personally know how difficult it is. It is. I will say it does focus a lot on that brand, but also it does seem like whoever the guy that started that brand really cares. Now he did also sell the company to one of the co-founders of WeWork, and I don't really know what's happening there. That might give you an idea, I guess, and we can talk about this, of like the money that's necessary to do this properly.
Totally.
Yeah.
At a certain scale.
There's also yeah. He was, but it's interesting too. There are so many names in the book of people that I know, and that's not me like trying to brag like I know everybody in the industry. It's more a comment on like how small the industry actually is.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like part of the book is about like, so the gist is like the guy that owns American Giant wanted to make a flannel shirt in the United States, like an old Pendleton or something like that. And he was surprised to find out that nobody was making the cloth in the U.S. So
Yeah.
he spent a lot of time, and the part they don't say is a lot of money uh, on like figuring that out, and he did it successfully. And the people that helped him, like I know,
Yeah.
which is kind of strange. But the
What
reason
a
I know them is because like they are the people. Like that's it.
right.
Yeah,
So I'm kind of removed from the industry at this point, but what
sure.
factory did he use to make them? Like shirt factory.
He used to. Well, he used the initial run was done in a place in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I can't remember but yeah. But now it says on their website that they're making the flannels in New York.
Okay.
But then they're using to actually make the cloth. That was the part that was tough. Is like he wanted American made cloth, and it just didn't exist.
Right. Yeah.
Which I can attest to. Yeah, actually, speaking of cloth that doesn't exist anymore, I'm wearing a Tazwell shirt that's like wool gabardine, and I bought it from Pendleton because they do still make some cloth, but they are no longer making this, and they were the
Oh,
only people in the country doing it. So,
wonderful. Yeah.
so like
Wonderful.
these shirts,
Rare,
yeah,
rare
that's cool.
weave indeed.
Yeah, so that's right. So like, if you want some of the last of that, I have it. But it's more like it's kind of interesting when you run into things like that. Just there's no we literally don't make that stuff anymore.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
strange.
Yeah. It's a friend of mine and I talk about this in a group chat pretty regular. 100% made in USA from the cloth to everything else is basically impossible at this point.
Yeah,
Or at least not, if not impossible, damn near impossible. Because
yeah,
inevitably, like something, a trim or a button or whatever is not going to be available because we just don't do that as much anymore.
yeah. I mean, like I don't think there probably are button factories in the U.S., but I haven't been able to find one.
Yeah,
There, I don't know that there's a small zipper company in Tennessee that I've used, and they make some of their stuff still in Tennessee, and some of it is made in Canada. I don't
yeah,
know why, but that's So like, yeah, it's really interesting that the supply chain just in general it's not there.
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I know you and I have talked pretty regular about music and things, and I saw you've been
yeah.
going through recording with your band lately.
Yeah. So I play in this band in New York called the National Reserve. And quick shout out to Sean, the band leader. I believe he just became a dad within the last 24 hours. So
Oh wow!
congratulations, Sean. Yeah.
Congrats, Sean.
Yeah. He texted us yesterday saying that it was the day, and I haven't heard anything else. But also, I don't really want to bother him, so I figure I'll hear it. But congrats, Sean and Sky. You're going to be great parents. So, yeah. So we've been working on a new record. I don't know the timeline on that yet. That is one of my favorite things to do. So,
Hell yeah!
whenever I can, it's
Is it a
hopefully in
full length?
yeah, full length. Um, yeah, and I think we're just doing. Sean has a studio, and we're doing basically pre-production and demos to start shopping around.
Oh hell yeah!
Which is kind of it's kind of cool. It means that we can work on our own time. Sometimes that means that you don't work, but I think
Yeah.
it means, for the most part it means low pressure. But also, I'm not the only one on this call that makes music, and I think you have something that just came out that's more immediate than anything I have. Tell me about that.
We did it all ourselves, and it's actually the first, like I might have said this before, but the first like 100% DIY thing I've ever done. And
Wow.
part of that is because the technology, like
Yeah.
if I had a smartphone in like 2000 to 2000, I don't know, 8 or 9, whenever I like kind of stopped being in bands, like I would have had so many fucking riffs and songs and shit that just like got lost in the ether because, you know,
Yeah.
a 4-track or whatever was like expensive, or you could go to Walmart and get like, you know, the little handheld recorder for $20 that like you couldn't
Right.
tell anything from actually fucking recording on it and playing it back. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you know, with GarageBand, which I have a love-hate relationship with, and you know, interface recording and stuff, and like thankfully Grayson, I'm kind of a Luddite, but like Grayson and Eric just really like Grayson took to the like actual recording process and like mic placement and stuff. I mean, we all did, but you know, it's just like I'm lucky to have had those two working on this as well. Because if it was just me, it certainly would not have gotten done at all.
Well, congrats, man.
Oh,
'Cause
thanks,
that's
man. Thanks,
like,
man.
it's
Yeah, I'm very
it's
proud
so
of it, and yeah, I think like, you know, because we did it ourselves and we can just keep making shit. You know, hopefully releases won't take as long as they used to.
yeah, yeah. I still know how difficult it is just to like get 3 or 4 people in a room and record stuff, and
Right.
everybody agree that that's what you're going to do, and then also actually write the material and then record it well. It's tough.
Oh, totally.
Even with, you know, like uh, even with the technology that we have now, like I can make a record in the room I'm sitting in, but it's still, I have to do it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's
this
yeah.
process did make me realize why I've always paid someone to master the fucking thing, because mastering
Yeah,
is
man.
holy shit. Like I wanted to be an audio engineer like back in the day, and
Yeah.
like I think I would have pulled my hair out if I had to do that shit constantly.
I had that realization when I was studying recording engineering, like right out of high school. That was my major in college for 2.5 years. And I was just like, I don't think I can sit and like worry about like compression ratio all day,
Oh
every day.
God.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, and then you think something sounds good, you do a test. You know, you do a headphone or a car. Like car test is my favorite, even though my van at the moment, the sound system like is very tinny. But it's like, oh, cool, yeah,
Yeah.
this sounded great on our monitor speakers. This sounds fucking terrible on everything else. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta, I think it's strange that you have to, when you're putting music out into the world now, you have to mix it. You have to think about how it's being consumed. And usually
Yeah.
it's consumed by like from the bottom of your iPhone.
Right.
And mixing for that is much different than mixing for your car or
Yeah.
whatever.
I
Yeah.
I had a friend tell me that he like we were talking a few weeks back, and his name's Lucky. He's in two awesome band, or he just joined an awesome band called Hotline TNT. He does his own project called Onionism. And he was like, dude, I accidentally uploaded an unmastered like single. I don't remember if it was like an EP or a single or whatever to Spotify. And he was like, basically with all of the compression that Spotify as a platform puts on it, he was like, it sounded just like I had mastered it. Like it probably would have sounded worse if I had already done that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that one.
Yeah. I had the opportunity a couple years ago. I made this record with this guy, Gregory Dwayne, and he had it mastered in Nashville. Like he was putting real money into it. And he invited me down to the mastering studio while it was happening. And that was really kind of amazing because the gear is different than like a standard like mix studio. The ideas are similar, but you're talking about very subtle variations, right? Like you're mixing or you're adding like a half dB here or
Right.
a quarter dB there. It seems like kind of this black magic thing, but everybody seems to know that they need it, but they don't know exactly why.
Yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's like the minutia. It's like the minutia of, my aunt always says she deals with the minutia of law, and I think that that's like what mastering is. It's just like the littlest things that are extremely important.
Yeah. And I mean, it used to have a technical importance as well, because you were mastering to make sure that you didn't have too much bass in the record and in the literal record, and that sort of thing. Because otherwise, like, you would run off the grooves and stuff like that. But now it's about like trying to get little gains in volume and clarity, and there's still like volume wars, which are really interesting, because like Spotify says you have to master to, I think it's like -14 or something like that, but apparently everybody actually masters to like -8 because they
Right.
still think that louder is better. So yeah.
I'm in the louder is better camp. So
Generally louder is better. At least it's more exciting, right? And that's, you're supposed to, everyone says to mix at a very like low volume, but I can't do it because I just get bored. So
yeah, same here. I like when we were making the a record and like doing mixing, mastering and stuff, I was just like I want it to feel like you're getting like hit over the head with a sledgehammer. Like that's how I want it to come off, and hopefully we did that. I don't know. It's weird talking about my own shit. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I understand. I was just listening. I sent some tracks off to this ad agency yesterday, and I was listening back to stuff I've done in the last couple of years, and I was like, oh, I don't want to send this because I'm embarrassed, but this is what I have, so here you go. It's tough. It's all. I think it's
You are your own worst critic.
Yeah. You get so in your head while you're doing it, while you're making the thing. Or at least I do. Like, that's all I can think about, and then once it's done, I most of the time never want to look at it or listen to it again.
Right.
So,
yeah. I think
Connor, that's how it is with the show.
Yeah. I have listened to exactly one full episode of the show, and it was torture, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't want to hear myself fucking talk. And yeah,
and like, that's what all of our audience thinks too.
Right. Yeah.
It's torture.
Hopefully they feel better about it than I do. But yeah, I'm sure that like Connor is one of the like handful of people that I send like the shit that I'm working on to, and so I'm sure he has heard over the past year like the songs 5 fucking bajillion times, and for that I should apologize, Connor. I'm sorry, but you know,
no, they rock. Honestly. I think it's good. So there, you motherfucker.
Nice. Yeah, comes full circle.
So we can round out the music discussion. We're thinking about your rig, Jim, and I don't mean your genitals. I'm talking about your guitar.
Okay.
So what are you slaying right now?
Let's see. Well,
if it matters, if you give a shit about it, like, which you probably do.
Yeah, man, I'm sitting in a room full of gear, so I definitely give a shit. I have a real love-hate relationship with gear because it's like there's part of me sometimes that wants to sell everything and just play through a PV. And then,
Good call.
But I say that, yeah, right. Yeah. But I say that, and I'm sitting in front of like a $4,000 two-rock amp, which I'm like is cool, but also embarrassing. And
well, so you don't have to list your expensive shit either. I mean, it's like, we're not trying to be weird here.
No.
I just mean like, what guitar do you play most often?
Oh, yeah, sure. So my main guitar, it's this is funny. My main guitar was actually free. That guy that I mentioned, Gregory Dwayne, after recording that record, was like, here, and gave me this sweet telly.
Oh wow!
Which I think I have seen pictured.
Yeah. So on my Instagram, if you see me with a red telly, that's the one. I've put probably the most gigs on that out of anything I own right now. It's just a sweet parts caster, actually, half made by this guy here in Brooklyn, and then also half Nash. So I don't know. I was told recently by someone that I admire. I was kind of talking about gear, and this is where my weirdness about gear is coming lately. Where it's coming from. I was talking about gear, and he was like, "Dude, you're thinking about this too much. Play more, and when you do, the gear will come."
Yeah.
And I started thinking about that and like looked around my room, and like the gear that I use the most was typically given to me. So,
Right.
so I mean, I've been, yeah, it's kind of, I don't know why that works. It's all in my
Interesting.
head. Yeah. I mean, I have nice stuff. I'm really fortunate in that way. But some of my favorite things were gifts. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Are you a pedal
yeah,
person?
but yeah, yeah, somewhat. I go through a love hate relationship with pedals too, because my like main guitar, my teacher for years here in New York was Jim Campolongo. And he famously just plays an old Telly, a 59 Telly, and straight into a Princeton, and that's it. No pedals. He doesn't even use a pedal tuner. He just uh, either tunes by ear or uses a headstock tuner.
Oh wow.
So I had like, yeah, and he's pretty, successful. Like he just plays guitar and lived in New York for ages until he moved back to San Fran recently. But yeah, so that's always running in my head. And like a lot of my favorite players, like Roy Buchanan, um, are kind of similar. Like it was just guitar, usually a Telly, into some kind of Fender amp, and that's like a lot of my favorite stuff. But you also like you can't sound like the Smashing Pumpkins with just that rig, or like
Right. Right.
whatever. Like yeah, so that's a long way of saying yeah. I like pedals, and I'm staring at a pedal board right now. So yeah, I like
Nice.
them.
What
Yeah.
what's like your kind of go to pedal setup?
Here
Um,
we go.
oh, here it goes. My if I have a sound, if I have like if there's a Jim Parker tone, it's basically like slightly overdriven with some slapback on it. And so my main board, I have a couple of pedals that help me get that slightly overdriven sound if I can't turn up the amp loud enough. The main one that I use is by this company called Brown Amplification. They make a pedal called the Protein. So if you have any nerdy guitar listeners, they probably know what that is. Um, so that's that. But anything that's basically like, um, sorry, I just dropped a capo literally. Yeah. Um, so that's that. But anything that's like slightly overdriven, not too bright, and then a little bit of slapback. That's what I'll go through. One of one of my favorite pedals is the Strymon Flint, which is just like I play a lot of, I guess, what is called Americana music. And the Flint is kind of like Americana in a box. It's like a good reverb and a tremolo.
Oh, that sounds
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, it's really good. And all the pedals that I have, I like pedals, but I don't like tweaking and I don't like sub menus and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Right.
basically my whole philosophy on gear is like, I want to make it sound good. You turn it on, and to make it sound better, you turn it up. Like
Yeah.
that's how I think about gear. So it's, I have way more pedals than I probably should have, but in general, they're like pretty simple.
Yeah. It can become an addiction for sure.
Dude, yeah. I went through a phase of like buying a lot of them, and I've kind of calmed down on that. Yeah, I kind of have what I
Gear
need.
acquisition syndrome.
Dude, it's the worst. It's the worst. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it
Yeah.
is real, and it's like what you just at the end of the road. Of course, is like the less shit, probably the better.
yeah. Um, for
Yeah.
sure, for
I
sure.
had
Because
that
But
problem.
it's like photo stuff, you always think, oh no, this like thing will make it better, and then you find out it's like, no, it's you.
yeah. That's yes. God's honest truth is like the thing that's gonna most likely make you sound better on whatever instrument you're playing is practice, not whatever
Yes.
you can buy. But it's way faster to buy something than it is to put in 10,000 hours on your instrument. So
Right.
yeah,
And there's a huge gratification in like buying something on the internet and waiting for it and having it arrive and then opening it. All that shit is just like a brain reward.
oh man, and yeah, you start like the worst is I'm not active on any forums really, but I have been at times a little bit, and um, it's like you buy a new amp or like whatever and post it on a forum, and everybody like is giving you like a virtual pat on the back. It feels so good.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
dopamine
yeah,
hit
yeah.
for sure.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I did make a good decision buying this really expensive thing.
And
Thank you.
everyone is saying it to me.
Yeah,
Everyone's saying the same thing that I'm saying.
everyone is saying the same thing I'm saying. Like, yeah, we must be right. Right? Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insidious.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Somehow
It's
music,
an
like, I feel like music forums and like uh, music Instagrams and things are, from my perspective, overall, way more positive than any other forum culture that I've ever been a part of. Like, it's like
yeah.
a bunch of
Yeah.
us nerds that are like, "Ooh, I want to see the amp that you're playing. I want to see your fucking pedal board." And like, it's just like
Yeah.
overall, I feel like there's less disdain um, that I picked up
Yeah.
on. But yeah,
Well,
yeah,
the
I
disdain is just you don't listen to music that is bad,
yeah,
right? I mean,
mm,
it sort
yeah.
of weeds itself out.
Right. And I mean, I genuinely enjoy seeing what people are playing. Like, even if it's not, even if it's not a thing that I care about, like, I'm not a, like, I'm a PV stan, like solid state PV, that's my favorite shit. But
yeah.
if someone posts like a
Yeah.
fucking JMP, I'm like, fuck, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm the same. Like I every once in a while I get an itch to buy a fucking Mesa dual rectifier. I have no
Right.
use for that. I have no use for that. So instead, like I get on a guitar forum and see people like posting that they're like, oh, this is revision F or whatever. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool, man. I would
Right. Right.
never use that. I
Yeah.
have no use for it. But I also know how exciting it is to have that piece of gear. Like I
Totally.
know what it is. Even if for me it's probably not really gonna be a Mesa rectifier. But yeah.
Right. If you're of a certain generation and you play guitar, I feel like we have all just ruled over a like Mesa at some point.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I still
I
I
wanted
mean
the 120 twin channel orange head,
Oh yeah,
which
another great one.
was
the
like,
yeah.
yeah, just like, yeah, that would be nice. But I would never do that, I don't think. Never could do that as a boy.
Yeah, there's also that, right? Like I am a little bit indulging I was a broke teenager and couldn't buy anything, and now I have many of the things that I wanted.
Right.
So I guess that's just part of growing up.
Oh, totally.
Getting
If
home.
you're lucky.
Maybe, yeah, if you're lucky, you get to do that.
I mean
But I also
I feel like
yeah.
that's kind of how any like interest or hobby works. It's like, oh, I wanted, even like collecting action figures and things. Like, there are plenty of middle
Yeah.
aged adults that buy the toys that they couldn't afford as a kid, and it's just like, it's like a rite of passage in some weird way.
Yeah. It's man, I almost watched the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie last night,
Oh,
and
it's phenomenal. Holds up. Holds up.
man, I haven't. Yeah, I used to watch that a lot. Like, and I mean that in my 20s as well. I watched that a lot. I like an old college friend who knows that about me, sent me a video about Ninja Turtles yesterday, and I was like, shit, I should watch.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, and like my wife is out of town, so I'm like, I can probably do this, but I forgot. So maybe
Yeah, well,
tonight.
yeah,
Maybe.
there's always
Yeah.
tonight. It's only 5:11.
There's
It's the
always
So.
Ninja Turtle evening.
Ninja Turtle evening, which
You and Matt can simultaneously stream it.
Yeah, yeah.
not for you, Connor.
I would do it if you guys were doing it. Then I would do it. I mean, I'm not gonna. What I didn't realize, and my roommate told me, was that the Ninja Turtles are a parody.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I just thought, like, I don't know, like someone took acid and decided that the turtles would be ninjas, but it's like a parody of
Yeah.
those kind of comics, I guess, from the time.
Who's the blind superhero? Is that
Daredevil.
Daredevil. I'm no expert.
Daredevil? I think. Yeah. Like the the antagonist or like whatever evil organization in Daredevil, I think it's Daredevil, is called the Hand. So
Yeah.
that's why the foot are the foot in Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
Interesting. I never even put that
Interesting.
together.
Yeah, they were. Yes, they were kind of
Heard it
making.
here first, folks.
That's right, man. I know about American-made clothes and some Ninja Turtles trivia. I'm really fun at parties.
Well,
So-
it's like they're all named after artists. Like that's a good way to introduce children to art. I support that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry. I'm happy that this is going this direction.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
we were interrupted by some Ninja Turtles, but now we're back.
Now we're back. So, Jim, you talked a little bit about we'll call it the trials and tribulations of Tazwell. But what's on the horizon for you? If I'm sure you're working on things.
I am working on stuff. It's been interesting. Some of it has actually bled over into my work at the Armory as well. I don't think the last time we talked, I don't think we had launched what's called the Isaac shirt, which is our like made in the USA Oxford cloth button down.
Oh, that's cool.
It turned out it was one of our best-selling products of last year after it was launched, which was really cool because I really I worked hard on that, and it went beyond just like going to a shirt factory and choosing like collar X and shirt body Y, which is an easy way of developing stuff. I actually I hired a pattern maker named Jeffrey Dyduck, who do you know him?
Is he from RTC?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know him personally. I remember him from Style Forum, like back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there's like no end to Matt's encyclopedia. Just like I know this person. Yeah, right. I know this person. I am amused by it endlessly.
Yeah.
It's great.
Jeffrey had a really cool blog. I don't know if he's still active with it, but it was called Tutto Fatto a Mano.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And Connor, do you know that one?
Like long ago.
Yeah, exactly. So Jeffrey is a technical pattern maker for some American tailored clothing companies, and on his blog he would like either be donated or like sometimes just purchase really expensive like sartorial clothes, especially ones that were like really popular on Style Forum at the time, like small Neapolitan makers and stuff like that. And he would take them apart and show you how they were constructed and like kind of debunk some of the myths around hand making and stuff like that. So anyway, I met him years ago and we got to work together on this project for the Army, which was really cool. And I either purchased or rented like Oxford cloth button-down shirts from every decade from like I think the 20s until the 90s. And Sean Crowley helped me out with that. Thank you, Sean.
Bring the pod.
Yeah,
exactly. So Sean helped me source some really good stuff. And I measured a bunch of things and found like small differences throughout the decades, which are there, like very nerdy things, and kind of tried to hone in on what I thought was important, and kind of made like a kind of a greatest hits package of an Oxford cloth button down. And I had the shirts made here in the States. Everything went really well, and then stop me if you've heard this before. The factory closed.
Oh god!
So yeah. So part of what I'm working on right now for the Armory side is actually testing with a new factory and trying to get that up and running. So that's what I'm working on there. On the
I'm sorry. What about one nerdy detail? I'm curious as a wearer of many OCBDs, where you are with your quest to find those details, and also what ended up making the cut?
So one thing that I really wanted to not do was just completely copy a Brooks Brothers shirt.
Right.
Like obviously those are the it's like Levi's 501s or like a Fender Telecaster or a Stratocaster. It's like
or Jazzmaster.
the basic, like it's the foundation. Or a Jazzmaster.
Don't leave me out of this one.
Or especially a Jazzmaster.
Nice.
You've got to, I didn't want to copy all of that exactly. But I ended up finding like this sweet shirt made by Chip in the the early 70s. And the color, yeah. Sean helped me with that. And it was like, man, the thing had lived really hard. Like half the buttons had been changed. Like it was a really great thing. But anyway, the collar was just slightly different enough, and what it was ever so slightly spread compared to the Brooks Brothers ones. And I don't know. I just thought that would resonate with the Armory client, and it did.
Totally.
Yeah, so that was cool.
What are the?
I got really nerdy about.
How big is the collar? Like, what's the collar point length?
That's a good question. I don't. I literally made a spreadsheet for this, and what I found is almost all the collars from the golden era were 8.5 cm.
Okay.
So
solid.
Yeah. So that's about where that ended up. They're not as big, I think, as people think, and they also like shrink over time in the wash.
Right.
So So we ended up, I think it was around 8.5 centimeters.
Okay. Yeah. I love a good longer point roll on an Oxford cloth button down.
Yeah.
What about a pocket?
The pocket.
Is it pocketed?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Because, see, there is a brand who we talk about sometimes who have not having the pockets. They don't want them at all. And I don't think that's good. I don't think that's very good.
You got to have
I think so too. And frankly, to, I guess, name drop somebody else that's been on the pod, like, I used to work with Dick Carroll, and if I had made an Oxford cloth button-down shirt after working with him that without a pocket, I think he would have disowned me as a so like
he would have beat you over the head with a sketchbook or something.
He just like
with a Foster's can of beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, a Foster's tin of beer, Dick. Forgive me.
No, I would have been a VB, mate. So
right.
That was a terrible accent, Ricky. I'm sorry. Anyway, I used to do this thing to him where I would say steak and lobster for a limited time, and it really drove him insane.
Oh, I could only imagine. That's
terrible.
Also the kind of joke that I would definitely do with an Aussie friend if I had one. We don't have a lot of Australians.
Well, it's how we introduced him.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
It's how we introduced him. I consulted with my many Australian friends, and they all said, do as many stereotypical things as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we did.
Yeah. Give him shit. He likes it.
Yeah.
So anyway, the pocket shape kind of went through a few revisions, and I had to concede to the factory because the original pocket shape they couldn't make without like training somebody how to do it, which you can imagine would take a lot of time and a lot of money. So I had to do a standard shape there, but there's definitely a pocket, and the placket is wider than what you would find these days.
Oh, nice.
Which I found repeatedly. Yeah. I had to make originally in the sketches, the back box pleat was wider, but Jeffrey and his business partner talked me out of that because the shirt does not fit like an old heyday shirt. It's kind of slim Armory style because Mr. Mark Cho requested that, so I had to do it. But anyway, yeah, that's it. I did what my boss asked.
Totally.
But anyway, it turned out really great. I was really proud of it. It's named the Isaac shirt because I I was watching this as I was developing it. I watched this documentary about Isaac Mizrahi, and it's called Unzipped, and it was filmed in like his heyday in the '90s. And he wears like all these great, I'm assuming Brooks button-down shirts, but he doesn't wear them in an Ivy style way. He looks still, he looks like a '90s fashion designer, and it kind of got me thinking about how to wear this, like what kind of menswear nerds think of as like just Ivy style piece, how to wear it outside of that kind of paradigm. So that's why I named it that. I wanted people to think not just like JFK,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
well, it's good because that's kind of the ubiquity of the clothing, is that it doesn't have to be worn in that like button down collar way. Like,
yeah, I was thinking, I mean, like the whole time I was working on it, I was thinking about a colleague who works at the Armory, Jeff. If you've emailed the Armory in New York or ordered anything online from us in the last little while, probably, I think Jeff's been there 4 or 5 years. You've probably talked to Jeff or emailed with him, and he's a really cool dude. He's a great drummer. Was in some like moderately successful emo bands in the heyday of Northeast emo.
Oh,
Anyway, yeah. So Jeff works at the Armory, and like especially in the summer, if I imagine what he's wearing, because I guess I think a lot about men and clothes. He was wearing like an usually like '90s era Oxford cloth button down from Brooks or from Ralph over like a like a band T-shirt or something, and like chino shorts or like some like full cut pants. And I was thinking about that, you know what I mean? Because I think it's like that piece of clothing is so important to American style, but that doesn't have to mean like with a 3-roll-2 sack jacket and like gray flannels.
right.
Yeah. Wow, y'all, that was really nerdy. Sorry.
Dude, we live for the nerdiness. We're all nerds in this podcast room right now. So,
well, and that's like I don't know. I feel like close to the thesis of the show, if there is one.
Yeah.
That there are ways to appropriate clothing that are like transgressive and important and like good.
Yeah.
So we knew you would be on the team.
For sure, man. And I don't know. I'm talking about this product a lot, but I'm really happy with it because it's like difficult to make stuff in the States, and and that's not necessarily like it's not made in the US is not part of the brand identity of the Armory, but like authenticity is, to use that like a 2010s kind of bandied about term.
Yeah.
And so like to me, like that product was historically made in the States and it still can be done. So why not try it? So
totally.
Anyway, I think that's that part is what I liked about the book we were talking about earlier,
Right.
American Flannel. I'm just thinking of it as I'm looking at it. What I like about it too is like the book is generally optimistic, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because every piece I read of making clothing in the U.S. and I started this whole podcast with me talking about how many factories have closed just that I've worked with personally. Like in general, the attitude is really negative. It's like everybody's just holding on, waiting for the axe to fall.
Yeah.
But there are ways to continue to make stuff if you just change the way you think about it.
Totally. It reminds me like the scene or that kind of like particular part of the menswear industry. Like it reminds me of working with a bunch of older dudes that solely talked about how great shit was from the 80s and 90s. Like, you know, sales were through the roof. Like every motherfucker was buying like 100 suits a year or whatever. And I'm like, guys, it's the 21st century. you have to
Yeah.
adapt. You have to let go of this like salad days of yesteryear, because things are still possible.
Yeah.
You just have to like figure out how to fucking do them yourself in a way that like
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
not have had to 30 years ago.
For sure, man. I think about that a lot. Just like, um, it's a story that I like to tell when people ask about my job as a buyer or whatever is, because it seems like kind of glamorous. Like I do get to travel to cool cities and stuff like that. But one of my first jobs as a buyer was for a store that is, I think, similar to the one that you're talking about, Matt,
Yeah.
but only in Nashville. And I would go to the trade show in Chicago. Did you ever go to that?
I did not. I actually kind of forgot that it existed until very recently.
Yeah, well,
But
it's crazy because it's like,
it seems like a much more enjoyable experience than like New York or Vegas.
yeah, exactly. That's what's happened. And what kind of seems to happen is like somebody decided, like, oh, this used to be good, and but like we can make it good again.
Right.
But what my point in the story is like, I remember going. That would have been like 2014, so 10 years ago now, and I remember sitting in this beige hall full of brands for people like 30 years older than me at the time, and some old store owner was like walking in front of me with another guy and was complaining about this new thing called the internet. I'm not joking.
Oh, holy shit!
Like
Yeah,
he was yeah, he was complaining about like how brands were selling things online and like undercutting them, and that point wasn't wrong, but that point wasn't new either.
yeah,
And that's
totally,
like
totally.
something, yeah, that's something I find a lot in American apparel manufacturing, not the brand, but just in general, is like people do, like you said, they think about the heyday of not the 80s or 90s in manufacturing because it was already taking a turn for the worse, but like let's say the mid 70s. Yeah, like things were really being cranked out at like a high rate. Part of that is because we were slogging through like an endless war, but like it that's probably not coming back.
Right.
So you can either like just pull over and die, or you can try to think of new ways uh, to get business.
Yeah.
As an example, in this book, American Flannel, there's a manufacturer that I know. Um, I'm not going to say the name because I'm going to say something a little disparaging here, but the guy that is making stuff says like, "Oh yeah, I'm out there all the time trying to get new business." And they don't even have a website.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how? What do you mean you're out there all the like? That might be some of what you were talking about, Matt, in terms of like what's left out of this story in this book is like, there's a lot of complacency and wishing for golden era.
Yeah.
That's just not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I still, have friends and like know people in the industry. And the thing for me that seems to connect all of these people and myself included is the DIY mentality. But,
Yeah.
it's so much harder than just going to a trade show and being like, or, going to a factory and being like, oh, you've got, these fabrics swatches for spring. We'll take these. But
Yeah.
it's like, no, you can't just do that anymore. You have to go and find shit. Like, the people that I respect
You
the
really
most, and like, you are definitely among them, Mark. Um, I feel like the reason why you guys do what you do is because you're not sitting on your ass just waiting for something to come along,
sure.
or letting someone else deal with the sourcing or whatever. It's like, no, we're going to make this and we're going to make it the way that we want to make it, and we're going to find the shit to make it from.
Yeah. I think that's like nothing is going to be served to you like completely finished. You have to put it together piecemeal. And I think, to be honest, like I've known a lot of people in the menswear industry, especially that are like previous musicians,
Right.
particularly like DIY musicians. And some of that is just like there are a few reasons for that, but I think part of it is that like you're kind of used to just like throwing stuff together because you have to, like, if you're dealing with American made stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Like Matt Lambert is pretty good at that.
Oh, yeah. Matt, I would wager, is probably one of the best at doing that.
He's great.
Yeah. Big brother for me.
He's good. Has Matt been on the show? I don't know.
We haven't had him on yet. We will eventually. It just hasn't worked out yet.
Do it, Matt.
Yeah.
Did I see you play the show at Factory?
No, we had to postpone, like some like random shit happened. But yeah, like we moved it from that date. I don't remember exactly what it was, but then I'm booking a show right now and like hoping that his band, or well, I'm not to give anything away, but I'm helping book a fest in the summer, and I'm really hoping the Saints can play.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, jumping back in with both
feet. That sounds great. Yeah, love it. I love it.
So is there anything you're looking forward to right now, clothing wise?
Cool. I did actually, so I said earlier, I'm working on a, like basically tailored clothing for Tazwell.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the first sample right now, and that did not turn out so great. And I was like kind of disappointed. I was like, I don't know how to fix this. And like, I've been around a lot of tailored clothes in my life, and I was like, this sucks. And I don't even know what to do. So I like I took a break. And then recently, I bought this really cheap, tweed Western jacket by Pendleton from the 70s. And it's like, it's amazing. It's like, it fits better than some stuff that I've had made for me. And I don't know how that happened. Yeah, it's like, it's really good. It's really good. And I want to give a slight little shout out to Southpaw Salvage on Instagram. Thanks for finding that and selling it to me for a very reasonable price. He I don't remember the guy's name, but he like specializes just in like Western wear, and he's in the Southwest somewhere. And he's like a touring drummer, so he just does it on the side, I think, or maybe I have that backwards. So anyway, Southpaw Savage is cool, and the guy sold me a really sick jacket, and it gave me kind of a direction on how to make my own one much better.
Hell
so
yeah.
that's what I'm excited about.
And yeah. I'm stoked to see.
I've got a few other
the final fruition of this.
I've got a few other ideas. I've got to figure out, like I was saying earlier, some money stuff. But the next collection has a title, kind of has a song already. Like that, I don't know why that's my work process, but that's what it is. So yeah, I've got to figure that out, because I don't think I can, if I like to continue Tazwell as like a full-fledged fashion company, I think I'd have to put out a collection every 6 months, and I don't think I can do that and also like put out a single with it every 6 months.
Right.
Maybe I could, but I don't know. So anyway, but the next collection is coming along, at least in the ideation stage, and the music part of it too. So that's where we're at. There'll be some tailoring. Maybe I want to push it weirder than the first collection.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We support it.
Yeah. I just like, strangely enough, there's this like this personality on TikTok and Instagram named Andy, who, she's like an Appalachian.
Oh yeah. I've seen her. She's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I know her, which is weird. Yeah. I knew. All right. So to talk kind of personally here for a second, when I lived in Nashville, I had a different wife. Okay, and I got a divorce, and I think I lost Andy in the divorce. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. But anyway, Andy, if you're listening for whatever reason, hi, it's Jim Parker. But I used to play in a band with your husband, Brandon. So anyway, she's had this thing that everybody's duetting on TikTok right now, where she's like, say the weird thing. And I'm kind of feeling that, and I just want to like make the weird clothes.
Nice,
Dude, you should. Your shit's already really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was weirder, it would be wonderful.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
yeah. I gotta find there's a couple of things that I have to like figure out on the not even the logistics side, basically just the supply chain side. Like what I would really
Yeah.
like is to find um like like a cottage industry of quilters. That's something that I need to dig up.
Okay.
So if anybody out there has any leads of like some probably little old ladies that live in your neighborhood that quilt and they happen to live in a southern state, let me know.
Yeah, dude.
Because
I could transport my mom.
Yeah, right. I asked my mom and she didn't know anybody. So yeah.
Yeah,
But if anybody's moms or grannies out there, you know, and or dads too, I'm just usually it's gonna be like some old ladies. Yeah. I'm looking for some quilters.
well, next time I'm in the middle of bumfuck nowhere hitting yard sales, I'll spread the word around.
Please do. Yeah, because that is exactly what I'm looking for, you know?
Yeah,
Like
totally,
that.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't necessarily want precision either. I want like some fucked up quilting.
You want
basically.
soul. You want soul.
Yeah. Yeah. That's much more interesting.
So you went to Pitti this year?
I went yes, I did. I went to Pitti. It was fine.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I was. Yeah. I didn't really look at much shit this year either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I lived it. I was there.
Right.
Yeah. My general feeling on the Pitti scene is like it. I mean, it peaked. It's it's obvious that like buyers and the press are going elsewhere and they're spending more time there. Like they're going to Milan more, and they're definitely going to Paris more. Like little stores about the size of the Armory are like traveling to Paris for stuff,
Right.
which is interesting. So, but that said, like like poor me, I was like in Florence all week. It was their worst places to be. So yeah, Pitti is interesting. Matt, you went like once or twice, right?
I went once in 2013, which I feel like is kind of peak Pitti. I did go during the summer, which was not enjoyable as far as how hot it was. But yeah, dude, Florence is incredible. Just like
Florence is
I would just love to spend time there. You know, just have a couple of days, like even outside of the work aspect of it. Like it was just a rad city to walk around.
Yeah. I've been making it more of a point to do touristy stuff while I'm there, like going to check out art and it's the city itself and the stuff that's there is really incredible. Like just going to see the David is wow. Like what?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're right. Like you were there. Peak Pitti, I would say, is around that time too. And it's been on a slow decline. And you can see it even in the like. I mean, there's no like. There's no. Everybody, not every conversation I had at Pitti, but many conversations. I would say the majority of them at some point turned to, "What do you think? Is Pitti still good? Like, do you know? Like that was the topic of conversation."
Yeah.
And it has been for a while, but it's still fun, and it's not like there's still good things to see. A lot of the good things and the good makers to see are like actually not at the fair.
Yeah, totally.
Because there are like small makers in the city that are definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, it's it kind of like goes to the state of like tailored clothing and menswear at this point. Like it's all just so up in the air. I feel like there is maybe a resurgence of maybe not on the same scale that like hashtag menswear or whatever, but there are still people getting into tailored clothing for the first time and like giving a shit about how they look, which is cool. It's just different.
Yeah. It's just different, and I mean, like, to be real honest, it's not like the look is probably not the like soft like Neapolitan tailoring thing
Oh yeah,
that it
totally,
was a while ago.
totally. I mean,
So
yeah,
I think
I feel
yeah,
like going back to Mad and Factors, like that's kind of it's not. I love Factors clothing. I think it's amazing. It is not my thing. I
yeah,
will probably forever be stuck in the like super unstructured, very soft, garments. But that's just
sure,
how I like to wear things. I wear a lot of workwear, which is kind of the
yeah,
same shit, just in a different form.
yep,
But
yep,
but yeah, it's it is heartening. I feel like in some ways to see things progressing and changing a little bit, and maybe another iteration of that like vibe will come back or be
yeah,
burnt,
yeah,
not really
yeah.
come back.
Yeah, I mean, like things just like it all swings on a pendulum, right? So, like when I'm walking around my neighborhood, suddenly I'm the guy with like the slimmest pants, and that happened really quickly. Actually, I don't know how that happened, but I guess I just got old. I don't know, but and it's strange that like slim trousers are the mark of like an older guy now,
Yeah, yeah.
than older than like 30.
Man,
I should
I'll
say,
I'll
I
say
guess.
that the suburban people and the like people outside of major cities are definitely keeping the skinny jean thing alive, to my chagrin.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think
Uh,
we've talked about it. Like it's that trickle down, and now that like the super slim thing is mostly just normies. They're not people that actually like have a
yeah,
nerdy sensation or attachment
yeah, yeah,
to whatever.
yeah. Maybe I should say that. Yeah. But it's so the thing is like the I don't know if like wide trousers have hit peak like saturation, although I think maybe they have because I mean if J. Crew puts out a giant chino or puts out anything, that's like pretty like indicative of like almost peak.
Yeah, was
So
literally just thinking this.
Or like, no, I mean Old Navy, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. I haven't even looked. Does Old Navy have like a wide leg uh pant? Probably. I
I
mean, if
bet they
I'm
do.
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you go to like yeah, the like a little while ago, I was in Uniqlo trying to buy T-shirts, and I couldn't find any that weren't like literally called like boxy '90s or oversized
Right.
whatever. I was like, I just want to for me like what is a normal T-shirt, but I guess that's like a slim T-shirt, which is fine, whatever. So like yeah, the mall brands are there. So it like
Oh no, I'm
soon.
gonna get Old Navy shit for. I'm like on their website right now. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get so many
You
Old
did this to
Navy
yourself, my
ads.
friend.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The weirdest targeted ad I ever got was I not too far from where I live is a Macy's in downtown Brooklyn, and I went there one day for something I don't know. And the next day, I was scrolling on my phone, and I got an ad from Macy's that said, "Court is tomorrow. Buy a nice blazer."
What? What?
Yeah. I swear to God, it said that, and I was like, what? Who do you think I am? What is this? What?
First,
But it
first
was
of
like
all, who the fuck thought about that ad? Like
I don't know.
this had to go through how many
I don't
different
know.
people to get published? Like what?
Yeah. And like, I think that Macy's in downtown Brooklyn is near like a courthouse.
Oh
I think
yeah, it
there's a
definitely
courthouse there.
is.
So maybe, yeah, right. So like maybe there's some kind of weird geo triangulation kind of thing. I don't know. But
I
it was,
bet that they have all of that shit. I mean, I'm
yeah,
not like saying this in a conspiratorial way. Like, I
no.
bet that they have all that shit because what we understand, basically technologically, the government you got to figure is at least a few years ahead of us,
Yeah, sure.
and thereby
Yeah.
the corporations are not far behind.
They're the same thing, right? So,
Right.
yeah, anyway, weird targeted ad. So maybe,
I get Christian ones on Reddit that are like disguised as like well, you know this guy. I don't know if you've heard of this guy before. He was a socialist. He was like, he really liked poor people. His name was Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Are you interested? And it's like, man,
Yeah.
I don't know. You could have gone about this in a different way.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, I forgot what we were talking about before targeted ads.
Oh yeah, just the state of menswear.
Oh, the state of Minnesota. So, that's right. Thanks. Pants. We were talking about wide pants. So, like, of course, like the thing that will happen at some point is younger people will start wearing slim pants again.
Yeah.
I think it's already happening. I see, I see on TikTok, and I've been saying this for like 6 months or something at least. Like, I've seen like early 2000s retrofits on teenagers,
Yes.
which is like, wow, you're dressing like it's 2012. Oh shit. Like saying that in the caption, I'm like, oh wow, okay. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. The youngs are doing all of the things that looked terrible at the time that we all wore.
Yeah.
So yeah, well the cycle of and the
That's
cyclical nature is getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah. I am
Because it benefits capital. I mean, that, of course, is the punchline, right? Like, why are the trend cycles getting shorter? So they can sell more shit.
Right.
That's correct. That's basically why seasons were, like, clothing seasons were invented, besides the practical matter of, like, it being cold or hot. Yes, that's correct. I am mentally preparing myself for, like, I've seen tons of Y2K and stuff in vintage stores.
Yeah.
And like I was a teenager during that time, that's fine. But when like stuff when I was like a true adult, like out of college adult becomes vintage, I may have to take an extended vacation.
Yeah,
just because that's gonna
hold on to your butt.
Yeah. Like being in the world that I am and selling vintage clothing for a living, I try not to be that old man yells at cloud character.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like I try.
And Matt is never that character.
I try as I might to like keep a positive thing, but yeah, you know, I remind myself that like this is what my parents thought when I was wearing the shit they wore in high school. You know. Like, when I was in 70, like, I'm far enough removed, generally the same age. So, like, Y2K for me is like the 70s were for them back in the day. I'm just like, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, just try to keep it positive-ish. I'm a hateful, negative person, but if you're happy, man, do it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't mean like all it will mean is like I have aged, and that's what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
Like I totally know how of course the stuff comes in cycles, and I'm just not sure I'm ready for that loop to be closed yet.
Yeah,
so
for sure. I feel
right now, like the stuff that I was wearing in my early 20s is like at the bottom of coolness, like really slim. Like selvage jeans,
right?
That kind of stuff. That's all. Like nobody really wants that, except like you said earlier, the normies. But it's probably already on its way back up, and it's gonna take some time, of course. But it'll be a weird mind trip. Maybe by the time I turn 40 in 2 years, maybe by the time I'm 40, like whatever the new influencer thing is that's not TikTok, whatever the next thing is, those people will be talking about this in like a big way,
right?
2010s fashion,
right? Yeah. Well, I turned 40 in November, and it don't get better, man. Trust me. So to round things out,
sure.
What have you been listening to recently? Anything on repeat?
I was listening to a bunch of Freddie King the other day, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I also some Paul Butterfield, like East West.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. That specific song, but also just in general the record. Because East West, the song is like modal music, which is real nerdy, but I was trying to get some inspiration there. So those two are on the probably most recently played.
Fuck yeah. Good
Yeah.
answers. Little
about
deep,
y'all?
deep cuts.
Deep cuts.
Yeah. What about y'all? What are y'all listening to?
Connor, you go first.
Oh, buddy, you don't want to know what I've been listening to. I've been listening to the new Future and Metro Boomin album that was just released.
Okay.
They're releasing, I'm pretty sure, part 2 of this on Friday. I don't know. It just sounds like older Future. It sounds like good. It's just like trap music, basically. That's what I've been up to. Can Soul release a new album, which I think is pretty good. But more of the same shit.
Matt, what about you?
I've been listening to a lot of hardcore lately. One of my favorite hardcore bands, The Hope Conspiracy, is releasing a new LP. I think in May. They put out a single, and it makes me. I told this to Connor, like it makes me want to smash a motherfucker through a plate glass window. Like it's just
Yeah.
I'm not a violent person, but like it's just angry, justifiably angry, and intense. There's a band that my best friend Eleanor is friends with the singer and songwriter. They're called Small, and we actually went to see them this past Saturday, play with another friend's band called Gorgeous Beast, and just a fucking incredible show. Like Sam puts on, and the whole band, like they just they give me the feeling of hearing like Nirvana or like Hole for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, they're fucking great, dude. And I think I saw Sam on Sunday after the show, and I think she said that they have some like a record that they're gonna put out in the next few months. But yeah, I've really been like diving into Atlanta bands because there's a ton of like really rad shit happening. Hubble is another one. Ritual Day, my friend Tanner's band. Just yeah, part of the reason why we're gonna do this fest is just like showcasing like how rad the Atlanta music scene is right now. So been listening to a lot of that, and then also this band called No.
Which Future and Metro Boomin from Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta fucking rules. There's also a band called No Man that just put out their newest LP, I think last week. And it's 3 of the members from Majority Rule, this like screamo melodic hardcore band from the late 90s, early 2000s, with a girl that sings, and dude, I've listened to that record probably 10 times in the past like week since it came out. So yeah, just I don't know, man. Falling in love with music again is really fun, and I feel like that's what my past 6 months have been, which is rad.
That's great, man. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, Jim,
the last one.
What's up?
Yeah. What was that last one? Majority Rule?
Majority Rule was the like first band, but then No Man, and the No has like a slash through it, so maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. But those that's the new band. Majority Rule is the original one. They did a few records, like a Page 99 split. And I'm blanking on what else they put out, but I think they did like at least one LP. Just good fucking shit.
Cool. I just wrote that down.
Hell yeah. Yeah, let me know what you think. Yeah. But yeah, man, before we get out of here.
It's very nice of you to take notes.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, dude, thank you for coming on again. It's been fun to catch up and see what's been going on since we last chatted. What would you like to plug?
Well, I do still own a clothing company called Tazwell Clothes, and you can buy stuff on the website, which is tazwellclothes.com. Let's see, what else? I play in a bunch of bands in New York, and I have a bunch of gigs coming up, but you can see me basically every Friday at this bar called Skinny Dennis from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. with my band, The National Reserve. Here we go.
Hell yeah. Yeah. And give him a
Come see
follow.
me.
Jim R. Parker is your Instagram, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm really bad at plugging that.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Jim R. Parker.
Yeah. Jim is as rad as they come.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah. I've known you a few years now. I feel confident in saying that. But
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. This has been good, guys.
Fuck yeah, man. It's been a fun time. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for listening. Please subscribe, rate, or whatever. And we would like you to know that we also hate saying this shit. So, but for whatever reason,
And the whole idea of it.
but our tech overlords, require us to do this dumb shit. So, also, if you haven't yet, check out the Mad Men 3 parts episode special that we did, where the last one we interviewed Brian Batt, aka Salvatore Romano. And fucking email us, you bastards. apocalypseduds@gmail.com, at apocalypseduds on Instagram. I am Matt Smith at Rebels Rogues.
And I'm Connor Nunez, the real Connor Nunez.
And we shall return next week to your dismay. Thanks again.